Indonesia and Thailand still in transition. India, meanwhile, accounts for around 11% of global EV sales, even as its share of the global EV stock remains lower. The EV revolution is near but uneven. Now let's look at how EV adoptions stacks up across Indian states. Tripura leads the chart with over 18% EV penetration, followed by Assam and Delhi in mid-teens. Kerala and Goa close behind, while Karnataka and Chandigarh have crossed the 10% mark. Larger states like Uttar Pradesh and Odisha remain below the double digits, showing that EV adoption within India is uneven and region-specific. By financial year 24-25, e-rickshaws alone account for half of the EV market, followed by electric two-wheelers at nearly one-third. Passenger electric cars and three-wheelers remain in single digits, while electric buses and commercial vehicles together make up less than 3%, highlighting where Delhi's EV transition is strong and where it still lags. Delhi recorded no electric auto registration in 25 compared to 1,426 in 24. But the hazardous AQI levels, with the transport being the biggest contributor, proves that Delhi is far from an EV revolution even when it needs one of the most. Let's look at India's EV infrastructure. The country now has over 29,000 electric vehicles charging stations, including more than 8,800 fast chargers and over 20,000 slow chargers. 2,000 crores have been allocated for expanding EV charging infrastructure across India. Under FAME India scheme, over 16.7 lakh electric vehicles have been sold so far, while 6,862 electric buses have been sanctioned to strengthen public transport. In addition, nearly 9,000 public charging stations have been installed by the country's oil marketing companies. Looking ahead, the government has earmarked 10,900 crore under the PM E-Drive scheme. Out of this, Delhi has 1,957 EV charging stations, of which 399 are fast charging and 1,558 are slow charging. But the latest registration number raises uncomfortable questions. In 25 so far, there have been no new e-auto registration in the capital. One, electric two-wheelers show only modest traction, around 35,900 e-bike registration in 2025, nearly flat when compared to 37,400 registrations in 23. Policy gaps appear to be a key reason. The fleet aggregator scheme remains only partially operational, while incentives that once drove EV adoption are steadily disappearing. Vehicular emission in Delhi has been the biggest contributor to the rising PM 2.5 levels, from 20% in 15 to 39% and 41% in 18 as per Terry, ARI and SAFA reports, to more than 50% in 2025. Somewhere, the EV revolution seems to be giving a miss to the national capital region. Now, before I play out the bite of the Minister of Delhi, let me put up the big questions here. Is Delhi an EV-friendly city? One. Second question, how can EV revolution resolve Delhi's pollution crisis? Third, buying EV is one thing and charging another. Do we need better infrastructure? Should we look at hybrids? Is there consumer hesitancy in switching from carbon fuel? Now on this issue, I am joined by Dilip Chenoy, Director General SIAM, Suharsh Damani, CEO of FARA, and Raj Kapoor, Senior Automobile Expert and Analyst. Let me straight away go to Mr. Chenoy. Mr. Chenoy, there are multiple issues at stake, and I am linking entire EV conversation from the perspective of pollution. A lot of environmentalists, and last week I have spoken to, even Amitabh Kant has written an editorial today in one of the newspapers, says that it's that EV redemption that can rescue Delhi from this foul air. What needs to be done, sir, and what is not being done?
Thank you for having me on the show. And I think I'm a former DG SIM, not you introduced me as DG SIM. So okay. It's just putting that in perspective. Yeah. But if you look at the Delhi whole ecosystem, I don't think it's a demand problem. It's really a confidence and a convenience problem as far as Delhi is concerned. So if you look at it, the first thing, and you mentioned, also briefly referred to it, but not directly, there's policy uncertainty. There was an incentive announced, it was revised, it was paused, it was extended. Just yesterday, I think in the papers, there was an announcement that the EV policy will be announced soon. So buyers delay decisions, in absence of multi-year certainty. Second, Delhi is apartment, centric kind of a city. And apartment dwellers and renters lack guaranteed home charging. Home charging needs to be solved. Primarily, it's an issue between the resident welfare associations and the discoms. If we look at it, and if there's no, if there's no guarantee of that, then there's a challenge. Of course, the three other things which are kind of a legacy of the past. One is the upfront cost and ownership issues. They're still more expensive. The trust deficits, which is still continuing there. And I think more importantly in Delhi, there's no push factor. There's no parking access, preferential parking access, no other real incentive or advantage for EVs, and ICE vehicles still face no meaningful inconvenience as far as Delhi is concerned. So I think while buyers may want EVs in Delhi, they hesitate to commit at this point of time. And of course, Delhi led by example, Supreme Court example, by moving the entire fleet to CNG. Now that's also a challenge because the Delhi government has got a joint venture for providing CNG. And if you then mandate a conversion into EVs, what happens to that investment? What happens to all the employment created around there? That's also another challenge.
Okay. Mr. Damani, are we a conservative market? I remember as a child in 1980s when the Maruti came, though I was fascinated by it. I used to live in Green Park. A lot of people would say, I don't take Maruti, kahan service karaoge? Because, I neatly come from little place in Agra. You can take Padmini and or buy Ambassador. Kahin bhi kharab ho jayegi, you have people to take care of it. Do you think that we also have a sort of a conservative car market?
I don't think, before coming to your answering your question, thank you and good evening to all your viewers. I have a different take on this. Okay. What India was in the 80s and 90s, India has completely, transformed now in terms of the auto buying experience which a customer gets. Customers today need all the best of the best specifications which are available in the market. And also, this show is on the EV subject. So I have a different take on how the Delhi's EV market is shaping up if I do a comparative to an all India basis. It is making a meaningful contribution in terms of reducing the pollution. This is about the EV, but it is far from sufficient on its own to solve Delhi's severe air quality crisis. If you see Jan to November 25, I did, because FADA releases the Vahan retail registration figures, I was doing some calculation. Jan to November 25 data, if we combine both two-wheelers as well as the passenger vehicle, EV sales grew by around 31% YOY in Delhi, whereas in national, all India, the growth was around 15%. So Delhi is doubling the number of EV sales compared to all India growth as of now. Especially if we talk about the two-wheeler EV penetration, which is kind of stable at 7%, whereas the national average is 6%. But if we look at the four-wheelers market, the EV penetration has jumped to 8% in Delhi and all India is at 4%, which clearly shows that people having better disposable income, and Delhi being one of the best disposable income state city, where passenger vehicle is doing much better compared to a two-wheeler. And hence we are seeing enough numbers of electric vehicles being sold in the Delhi market compared to all India. And the numbers, which is a growth of market share of 8% in Delhi versus 4% in all India, clearly talks about the kind of run rate which the EVs are having in the state city of Delhi.
Okay. This entire conversation is EV plus pollution. You see, EV is one part of it, but number of editorials have been written. Mr. Kapoor, a lot of editorials have come out that unless and until we switch from carbon-based transport to a EV or a hybrid or a CNG, which not only includes private vehicles, sir, or a private motorcycle or a scooter, but a rapid transport system is also around it, like, for example, electric buses. The Delhi will never have clean air. Your opening comments, sir.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the push should be that all commercial vehicles should turn to electric vehicles as soon as possible, because they are the ones that are there on the road for most of the time. Private vehicles will be used maybe twice in a day to go somewhere and then to come back in the evening. But all commercial vehicles, all taxis, and if you will see the number of taxis that are currently operating on the road, if you do a cross section of the number of cabs that go through, let's say, Ames Crossing, you will figure that almost like 30-40% of the vehicles on the road are, your hail cabs. So if those and other commercial vehicles turn to EVs, we should see a sizable reduction in pollution.
Okay, so if our vehicle sizable number of turn to EVs, then there will be an effect on the pollution level. Yes, but my question, Mr. Chenoy, I'll come to you after a short break, is the problem around infrastructure, sir, or is it the mindset problem? And let me put it simply for our viewers. A lot of people say, okay, I want to take EV, but if I want to travel to Nainital, if I want to go to Dehradun, if I want to travel outside, then should I take EV or not? So, the people who can afford 2 cars, maybe they'll try for 1 EV. But a person who wants a car for a family, is that unit going to go for an EV? This is the question for you, sir, but after a short break.
डेली मुझे कॉन्स्टिपेशन की प्रॉब्लम होती है, मैं क्या करूं?
2 स्पून काफी है। ये प्रॉब्लम दूर करने के लिए लायन डेट सिरप। इसमें आयरन, फाइबर्स, विटामिन्स, बीमारी से लड़ने की ताकत बहुत ज्यादा है। फाइबर, कॉन्स्टिपेशन से रोकथाम। रोजाना 2 स्पून लायन डेट सिरप हल्के गर्म दूध में भी मिलाकर पी सकते हैं।
लायन डेट सिरप
रोजाना 2 स्पून।
यही मौका है बिजनेस को बढ़ाने का, पर पैसा।
अपनी सुपर पावर यूज करने का टाइम आ गया है।
टेंशन मत लीजिए, IIFL फाइनेंस से झटपट गोल्ड लोन लीजिए और बिजनेस आगे बढ़ाइए।
आपके जैसे सुपर हीरोज ऐसी छोटी मोटी प्रॉब्लम से थोड़ी ना रुकते हैं, इसीलिए लाइफ जब भी आगे बढ़ने का मौका दे तो अपनी सुपर पावर, अपना गोल्ड यूज करिए और IIFL फाइनेंस से गोल्ड लोन लीजिए।
IIFL फाइनेंस करता है सीधी बात।
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया।
Now let me straight away go to Mr. Chenoy. So Mr. Chenoy, is it a problem of infrastructure or a mindset? And how do you push people to buy EV so that they understand it's not just about technology and fuel efficiency, it's also about lungs. Delhi is breathing poison, and December has been the worst month in last 9 years. Worst. AQI spike between 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. every day in morning has been above 400, and it's not a joke.
Yeah, I think you're right that we need to find a solution for the AQI and the whole pollution issue in Delhi. And it's been something that we've been actually working from the 1990s and 2000s and all. It's a process we need to actually accelerate going forward. But to your specific question, right? Okay, and if Sarash actually quoted data, but what the overall annual figures hide is that in the last few months, when the subsidies for the cars in Delhi were reduced, actually sales fell, from about 19.5% of market share of sales, they fell to less than 5%. So I think the EV policy and the subsidy policy in Delhi did have an effect going there. The specific question that you asked was relating to range anxiety and looking at a single car owner going in for an EV. I think, if you look at what is happening now, and I think with Maruti coming in very, shortly with their EV and their stated goal to do, 10,000 chargers, across the country over a period of time, right? You will see, and that's actually hitting at one of the concerns that a first-time buyer has. And you said, if I go to Nainital, will I be able to find a charging point online? So 2 or 3 things are happening. There are companies who are actually fixing charging stations for cars on the highways, right? For commercial vehicles, for buses and trucks, the government PM e-drive policy is actually facilitating that. But I'm going back to your car, single car, and companies also are giving you extended range now. 340, 400, which is actually enough to do a kind of a one-way journey to the most of the destinations that you talked about. And you're having apps now talking about finding the charger close by, and also there are chargers which you can actually, portable chargers which you can actually carry. But however, this range anxiety has not been addressed very squarely by huge promotion by the manufacturers and governments, and saying that you referred to the 80s, right, when Maruti came in.
Yes.
Even one of the most telling ads of Maruti today is that person going to Ladakh and actually finding a Maruti service station there.
Yes.
That's a very popular, you'll still see it being run on commercials.
Yes.
So I think the industry needs to come together and everybody wants and really address the range anxiety, the quality anxiety, and also the resale value of a car, which is again very important for a first-time automotive buyer, and these are issues that need to be addressed.
Mr. Damani, range anxiety is one, but it's also very ironical. When we talk about the charging stations, most of the electricity is being generated by coal-fired plants. So we can shift the entire fleet of Delhi to EVs and hybrids, but ultimately the energy that will be transferred to these green vehicles will come from the coal. So the ecosystem in itself is very, very complicated, and so how does one address these issues? Because ultimately it's not only about range, it's also about serviceability, it's about disposal of batteries in a very green way. So those are larger issues in which public awareness is limited.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. The grids which we operate on today, 70% of them are running on thermal power. So it's basically keeping your house clean, but your neighbors and the surroundings are still polluted.
Absolutely.
So it's like passing the buck. So that has to be done more from a national perspective.
Yes.
Delhi will not be able to solve that problem.
Yes.
But what as citizens we can do, and what we are doing right now, if you see, even though the subsidies have fallen, I think it has made a dent on the two-wheeler sales, but the passenger electric vehicle sales continue to be robust the way it was pre-exemption or without exemption right now on a month-on-month basis. So battery cost used to be in around $150 per hour. It has reduced to 100, and the way once it comes down in around 50 to 75 USD, that's when there'll be a price parity between the ICE vehicles and the EV vehicles. And that's when the customer will have an actual choice whether I should go for an EV or for an ICE vehicle. Because today also there is a delta of 15 to 20%, for a common man in terms of buying a EV over and above if they were looking for an ICE vehicle. So that's still a challenge, still a speed bump for the customer. The range anxiety has been more or less been sorted, because vehicles today now give around 400, 450 plus kilometers of range, and therefore you can plan your drive on highways, and you will find enough chargers on the national highway because of the PME drive push which is being given to installation of chargers on the highways. What we need to also do from a Delhi perspective is remove the non-BS4 vehicles. So BS0 to BS3 vehicles should be completely, abolished, completely banned from running in and around Delhi. That is one. You need enough scrappage centers so that these vehicles which are still in the Delhi market, can be scrapped, and customers are given attractive schemes, in terms of the best certificate of deposit rates, so that they are incentivized and they can then buy an electric vehicle from that COD. Also, we hope that the Delhi government will, once they come out with the revised EV policy in FY26, they will also bring in enough incentives so that customers come forward and scrap their vehicles on their own, rather than a push being used till now from the government side. That force somehow never helps the way it was being done earlier, and because of the customers' pushback, there was no other option left for the state government to go to the court and get a favorable order so that this 10 or 15 years old vehicle are not banned from running on the roads. So these are few things apart from what is already being done in the state, which I'm sure will help the penetration of EVs in times to come.
Absolutely, but the various segments of society have react differently to new technologies. For example, Mr. Kapoor, the people who drive the Uber, Ola, they have actually adopted the CNG. It suits them. But if you come to Noida, the end-to-end transport has been adopted by poor people, which is EV rickshaw. I mean, just from a metro to various localities, the only thing you will see is, EV is poor people packed together in that small e-rickshaw. So the poor of this country have actually adopted the e-technology out of necessity for whatever. You go to any metro station in Noida, you'll find them. Garib log hi wahin baithe honge. But I have not seen specifically this transition when it comes to scooters. Is there any specific thing? Because the two-stroke used to be the most polluting segment. That has not happened. But these people have really adopted it, and you go to any metro station, you will find them.
So I'll revert back to what Mr. Chenoy said right at the onset. He said this is an issue which emanates from a confidence issue, a convenience issue, because if you cannot create a value proposition, I mean, it's an open market. A customer will go for the best value proposition that he can get. So, in your argument that the poor have adopted,
it's not an argument. It's something which I've seen.
Exactly.
I take metro.
I'm coming right to that. It's because it's convenient. The commuter doesn't have to worry about anything. His value proposition is very high. He gets to go anywhere in 10 rupees or 20 rupees, and the entire issue of charging is with the owner of the e-rickshaw. So he finds it to be a very convenient, solution. Whereas if you flip this to the car, an EV is an expensive proposition for a car owner because he pays more money for it.
Yes.
Range anxiety, no matter what we say on paper, reality is that the range that you actually get on road is far less than what is stipulated because the actual road conditions change that.
Yes.
So till we fix that and we fix the policy issue, we will have some hurdles in terms of penetration.
Okay. Thank you all of you. I've really run short of time. Thank you for this riveting conversation. So this is all I had on Point 2. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. Thank you and good night.
सामने एक नया सुपरमार्केट खुलने वाला है। क्या करें कि मेरे पुराने ग्राहक भी रहें और मुझे नए ग्राहक भी मिल जाएं?
देखो, आप एक चाय कॉर्नर लगा सकते हो। चाय पीने पुराने कस्टमर्स रुकेंगे और नए कस्टमर्स भी आएंगे। इसके अलावा बिल्स और सेल्स देखकर हमें इन्वेंट्री मिलेगी।
2026, take notes. Manifesting. For my little Miss Sunshine, tickles and giggles. Also wanna be a biker chick this time. And year 2026, only love for my people and myself. To manifest my best life, nature's cosmic energy.
Now mine, natural diamond intention pendants.
पढ़ता है, खेलता है, झूलता उछलता है, दौड़ता कभी कभी दौड़ कराता है, आगे आगे बढ़ता है इंडिया, अमूल दूध पीता है इंडिया। मुफ्त दवा है और मुफ्त इलाज, सुविधा सबको, राहत है आज। माँ बच्चे का पूरा ध्यान हो, सभी निरामय आयुष्मान, घर घर नल जल है जीवन, सब लोग सुखी है घर आंगन, अब फसल सुनहरी लहराए, खुश हो किसान झूमे गाए, लघु उत्थान नई पहचान, बढ़ता राजस्थान, हमारा राजस्थान।
Ever wondered what makes the night come alive? Where flavors, lights and laughter dance in harmony. When the sun sets, stories rise of kitchens, cocktails, and charisma. What makes your city's night so happening? Let's find out.
Good service, good food, and a good location.
You need to explore, you need to experiment.
But they will never forget how they felt when they came to your restaurant.
Being a chef, it's my priority to deliver taste in a plate with good presentation, unique innovation.
My definition of mixology would be to get people drunk in a safe and happy way.
Don't drink on the job, that's for sure.
Mixology, you can play around with anything. You can create the stories, you can create the recipes.
Let's cheers on that note with our friendship.
Indulge in the finer things in life with Radico presents Lounge Nights. Discover the creme de la creme of India's culinary and nightlife scene. From trendy bars to exquisite restaurants, we've got you covered.